So I think of religious or spiritual trauma as a subset of other kinds of trauma. So we often think of war-related trauma, like stereotypical PTSD, or we can think of sexual trauma. And I think that religious trauma is another uniquely identifiable set of traumas that has a particular set of post-traumatic effects. When I write about it and when I think about religious trauma, I think of it along a spectrum. So on one end of the spectrum, you might have someone who has symptoms related to religion, spirituality, and spiritual practices, who has post-traumatic responses to those things that rise to the level of diagnosable PTSD. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who have much more mundane negative experiences with religion. So if we think of religious trauma in terms of the kinds of experiences that people have had with their religions, having negative experiences of religious community, putative experiences of the divine being, of religious theologies or religious practices that are harmful to them in ways that diminish the individual's capacity for spiritual or religious engagement in the future. So at the low end, it might just be that someone experienced an abusive religious leader at some point, and this gives them a sort of caution, fear, negative feelings associated with that particular religious community. Or at the more severe end of the spectrum, you might have someone who was raped by a priest or physically abused by religious parents, shunned by their community for their sexuality or gender identity, things like this.